I'm delighted, and my good friend and colleague still, because he gets paid until May the 2nd.
Make sure they're pumpkin in 3 weeks.
Retired now, Keith Martin, the well-loved, the famous, the irreplaceable.
Oh no, replaceable. You're gonna go from dishonorable to honorable.
Anyway, we're my friends, so I can say that you guys really loved Keith, and we're going to miss him so much. And I'm working very, very hard to keep this riding liberal.
Absolutely. Awesome Lillian Szpak, wherever we go around the community, they're going, well, if we'd known before, we would have made this replacement earlier. You're doing an awesome job, and Lillian's everywhere in the press, as you know, and which is fantastic. And Bob, it's great to see you here. Bob is running all across the country, spreading the word, doing an awesome job, and he's really, as you know, actually, he was named, correct me if I'm wrong, the best debater in the House of Commons.
Right.
There you go.
And that and $3.90 will get you a latte at Starbucks.
Now, Lillian's going to be on that list, right?
That's right.
That's right. Sure.
I like it skinny, grande.
We'll arrange that.
Thank you. So isn't it great that we have got this powerhouse here tonight to help us?
Yeah.
And Keith and I are going to go door knocking. And Bob, how long are you here for?
Tomorrow morning.
Oh, we've got time. Maybe we can do it.
You can.
So, does anyone want to say anything else?
Yes, I'll say a few words.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Well, I would love it if you would.
Yeah. I came all this way. I feel bad. It's really quite exciting what's happening across the country, because people are drawing such a contrast between our leader and the campaign that he is running and the campaign that we are presenting and the campaign of Mr. Harper. You know, we actually are quite blessed as Canadians. We have the only Prime Minister who's actually in a witness protection program. I mean, you know, look at the contrast. I mean, Keith and I have been in the House together, and the contrast, we've always seen this. You know, you ask the other side a question and you don't get an answer. You try and engage in political discussion and you don't get an answer. And when Keith was retiring, he expressed some frustration. You know, I have to say Keith is a rather extraordinary member of Parliament, because he actually says what he thinks just about every day, and whatever's coming, he's engaged about, he's talking about, and he's focusing on, and the issues that he cares about, he's passionate about, and it makes a huge difference. And frankly, that's what I love about our party. That's what the Liberal Party is all about. You know, you've got the Blue Army chorus on the other side, who are all dancing to the same tune and all saying exactly the same things. And we as Liberals are saying, well, you know, we don't always sing exactly from the same song, but we're talking about the things that we feel passionately about as members of Parliament. And so you've got this contrast in style. You've got this contrast in what I call character, the character issue between us and the Conservatives. The character issue with respect to why we're having this election. The fact that the Conservatives wouldn't give us the basic information that we need to run an election, to run a parliament. They wouldn't give us the basic information that we need to be able to assess. Well, why is the cost of the fighter jets gone up from $16 billion to $30 billion? You know, this is not a minor question. This is not a tiny question. And you know, I mean, the defense issues are pretty critical in this constituency, as they were up in the Comox Valley where I was this morning, and had a very good discussion with a number of people who know about this stuff, and they're saying, yes, you should pursue these questions because they're important. The procurement question is important. These are issues that should be thought through. Because it's important for us to get the right plane. It's important for us to get the right plane at the right price, and that's something that we can't ignore. We look at the character issue as one that speaks to, you know, do we have a dialogue or do we have a monologue? Do we have a democracy, or do we have command and control? Do we have a discussion with Canadians, a conversation with Canadians about policy? Or do we have, well, we can't have a conversation because you're restricted to 4 questions, or maybe 5 questions. But to me, the way the Prime Minister is running this election shows contempt for Canadians, just as he showed contempt for Parliament. And that's really, on the character side, that's the choice that this election is all about. It's also a choice about vision and about policy, about substance. And here, for me, the clearest example of how we have this contrast is when Stephen Harper, the week after the campaign starts, says, well, you know, we have the budget, of course, and that's what's in place, but I have some additional promises that I want to make, some additional commitments that I want to make. The first one is that we are going to give you, Canadians, a huge tax cut based on the pooling of your income up to $50,000. It's called income sharing, income splitting, and that's all going to take place. And people say, oh, that's interesting. People are going home and calculating, well, how much do you think we might get out of that? And then he says, oh, but just to be clear for a moment, yes, it will only come in 2015 if I have a majority, which you're going to have to give me twice, and if we have a balanced budget. So you think you're getting a cheese sandwich, but actually what you're getting is the concept of a cheese sandwich, the idea of a cheese sandwich. You're not actually getting the cheese sandwich. Compare and contrast that with Mr. Ignatieff, who says, well, actually, the tax cut which has already been given to the banks and to the oil companies and to the trust companies, that's already been given, and that's gone from 18% to 16.5%. We're going to take it back to 18%, and we're going to say to the banks and the trust companies, actually, you folks have to wait until we get to a balanced budget. And so here you have the contrast. Mr. Harper says to the working families of Canada, wait your turn, wait in line, take a ticket, come back and see us when you have a balanced budget. Mr. Ignatieff says, this isn't what we're doing. We're saying to the banks and the oil companies, wait your turn. There's people who are here in front of you who need help more. Yeah. And we're saying, who are those people? Well, they're kids who want to go to college and university and who need help right away. So we're saying, starting in grade 9, we're going to start to help kids think about and help families think about college and university by actually putting money in their bank accounts so they'll be able to build up savings to go to college and university. We're saying to working families that are taking care of loved ones at home, we're going to help you with a refundable tax credit that's going to make sure that you're able to take care of your loved ones at home. We're saying to Canadian seniors that if you're living in poverty, we're going to increase your guaranteed income supplement to the greatest extent that it's ever been increased before. We're saying to pensioners, we're going to protect your pension income. We're saying to Canadians who are looking to participate in the necessary changes to reduce emissions, we're going to help you to renovate your home. We're going to help get the cost of emissions down. We're going to help to make Canada a leader once again in energy conservation. And we're going to help to build an efficient economy that's also a conservation economy. Every step along the way, we are saying in substantive terms, this is what we're prepared to do now. And we are challenging the Government of Canada on their 3 agendas. We're challenging the HART agenda when it comes to an untendered contract for $30 billion for fighter jets. We're challenging them on their mega prison strategy, and we're challenging them on the corporate tax cuts. On the mega prison strategy, let me say this to everybody in this room. The Conservatives say we're the only ones who are tough on crime. To which we say, nonsense. If anybody actually believes that borrowing a strategy from the United States with respect to dealing with crime is the answer to our problems and the answer to what we're facing, you are sadly mistaken. You know, the conservatives say serious time for serious crime. I don't think when they said that, any of them had in mind that that time would be spent in the Prime Minister's office itself. When you find a Prime Minister's advisor with 5 counts of fraud, who's in charge of some of the most sensitive files in the Canadian political system, it is a bit of a nonsense to suggest that this is a government that's serious on crime. If we adopt the strategy of the Conservatives, first of all, I mean, every Canadian is tough on crime. I mean, apart from a few guys who hang around a bar and with the Hells Angels, everybody thinks crime is a bad idea. Nobody's out there saying, let's figure out a way to increase crime. Nobody's saying, I want to be really soft on crime. You know, we all recognize the need to deal with crime. Question is, what works?
Absolutely.
What works? I was talking to a young police officer in my constituency, my riding of Toronto Centre, just last week. And we were talking about this very direct question, just on the street corner, just chatting with her. And I said, well, what do you think about the crime? What is going on here? Because we have issues of crime in my riding, as we do in every riding. And she said, Bob, there's 2 questions. See, I'm afraid people are rather informal with me. I can't help. There's 2 issues. She says, one is we have too many young men who don't have enough to do. And the second, she said, is it's booze, it's drugs, and it's mental health. And she said, if you don't have a strategy that deals with those things, you don't have a crime strategy. If you're waiting for people to commit crime and then throw them in jail and then do nothing for them when they're in jail and then let them come out again, they're going to come back and do the same thing. And so this is something that we have to take on as Liberals and talk to people directly and say, it's the policies that have failed elsewhere where they've been tried. Please don't import them from somewhere else. Let's build a strategy. I'd rather see the money going to treatment centers. I'd rather see the money going to helping get people off the street, get people into affordable housing, get people into work, get people into programs, get our provincial and federal governments working with schools, get the gangs down, deal with these problems before they start. That's an anti-crime strategy that's going to work and going to have an effect.